Hello, I'm Trucker Rich. Welcome to Trucker Rich Farming. All right, we're going to do something a little bit different in this series. For those of you that have played Farming Simulator 19 before, this is going to be really boring. For those of you that haven't, and I've gotten some comments that some of the things that I'm showing in my other two series, which you'll find on this channel, be sure to like and subscribe, all that jazz. Some of the things I'm doing in those series, some people that are watching my videos aren't quite getting what's going on. So I thought I would do a little series and try to make these real short videos of how to play Farm Simulator. Now, I will tell you right up front, there's no right way or no wrong way to play this game. Once you get into it and you start playing it, you'll find what works for you. You'll find, how you want to play. If you want to be more on the realism side or more of just let's go and have some fun. So there's really no right way, no wrong way. And I guess really the only goal is to have a good time. If you make a little money in the meantime, then, that I think that's just a bonus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the beginning. So this first video, I'm just going to show you how to start a game, how to get into it. There's a few options that you'll need to think about depending on how you want to play. So really that's what this first video is all about, is just getting you started. And we are going to use no mods. This is strictly base game. This will work on PC or console. So no matter what you're playing on, you'll have the availability to do exactly what it is I'm doing and showing you today. So, and I'll explain mods later on. They just add to the game itself. But for right now, we're going base game. So when you first fire it up, this is the screen that you're presented with, and we're going to start a career. So you click on that. You can just ignore some of these game saves from other stuff, but what you're looking for is something like this. And we're going to use game save 5 because it's empty. So if I select it, and then you're presented with an option. You can do new farmer mode, farmer manager mode, or start from scratch. Each one has a little bit of a twist. New farmer mode, you usually start out with a farm. You get some fields, you get some equipment, usually about $100,000, depending on the map that you're on, is what you get for funds. Farmer manager, you usually don't start with anything. You usually don't start with land. You don't start with equipment. You get a little bit more money, and you just build from there, and then start from scratch. And yeah, you don't start with nothing. No equipment, no land, very limited capital. Depending on the map, will determine how much money you're actually going to get. So for this first one, we're going to start with new farmer mode. Because anybody that's new to Farm Sim, that's generally where you're going to start. So we're going to select new farmer mode. Then you're presented with some options of which maps to use. Now the base game comes with 2 maps, Ravenport and Fellsburn. There's also this map, but that's a mod, so we'll ignore that for now. But we're going to start with Ravenport. So we're just going to hit A to continue. You can select your character, what you want them to look like, obviously their name. So I'm just going to hit A to continue. And these are built-in mods to the game. If you want to use them, you can. If you don't have to. Yours may look a little bit different depending on if you're on console or if on PC, but these are the section that you use to add mods, and we're just going to deselect everything for right now. Hit the right button, and then we're going to hit start. So now it's going to build everything up for you. It's going to get you ready to start playing the game. This will take just a couple seconds to load up, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, now you got this screen. All you can do is press the start. I'm actually on a PC, but using an Xbox controller, so for me it's A to start. For yours, it may be a little bit different. When you first start, it's going to ask you if you want a guided tour to go through the basics. I'm going to say no at this point because that's the point of this video. And if we want to start it later, then we can. So we're at Ravenport. And this is where they start you out. You're kind of on a little hill. This is your farm. What you'll see here is what you get to start with. A neat little waterfall. So some of the things you have to be, that we'll kind of walk through. Up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see what looks like a star. That's the sun telling you what today's weather condition is. That'll change depending on what the weather is. And then right next to that, you have a clock. And right underneath that, you have 2 arrows and a 5. That means you're playing 5 times real time. So, and I'll show you how to adjust that here in a minute. And then one over from there, that's how much money we have. We have $100,000. Lower left-hand corner is the map. And you can see everything that's in green, those little fields, are the fields that you own. If we make this a little bit bigger, that's the whole map of where we're playing at. And we're up here, or down in the lower right hand corner, you can see all the little green numbers. Those are the farms that you own. Let me get this back down to normal size. If you press F1 on a PC, you'll get the F1 menu. Right now, because we're not really doing anything, you're not going to see it anyways. That'll become important once we get into doing things. So the other thing that we want to show you real quick is the menu system. On the Xbox, it is the start button. On a PC, I don't remember what the command is, but if you press that, you'll get into the main menu system. Again, this is a picture of the map. You can zoom in, zoom out, look around. You can see that this is a pretty basic map. All the little, in this case, most of them are rectangle type areas. Those are all the fields that are available on this map. If you zoom in, this is our little world right now, starting a new farmer mode. So we own field 19, 24, 25, and 26. And then the blinking green arrow is showing you where you're currently located at. The little symbol right here, if you click on it on Xbox controller, pushing the right analog stick down, brings up a bigger picture of what that is. That's your farmhouse. You do the same thing on this. That's your farm silo. Some of the other symbols you need to be aware of is like down here where this is colored orange. That's a buy point. So that you either buy or sell stuff. Same thing with like the spinnery. And then down here is a restaurant. And if you click on it on an Xbox controller, if you hit the X, you can go visit that place. And here's a gas station. So when you need to buy diesel for your tractors or whatever, this is where you go to buy your diesel. Your tractors will use it. And then this is the shop. When you go to buy new equipment, and I'll show you all that here shortly, this is where you're going to go to pick up that equipment. And that's really, I don't see any other symbols on this particular map. Oh, right here. Right here is the animal dealer. This is where you can go to buy your chickens, your cows, your horses, your pigs. You can either go there and buy them directly and then transport them to your farm or your pens on your own, or you can buy them at wherever your pen is and have them delivered, but there's a delivery fee. And we'll get into all that later. Um, in this series, all I'm trying to do is give you the basics of how to get going, how to start the game, that sort of thing, how to look at some of the important stuff that you need to know about. So if we go over to the next menu item, these are all the places that you can sell your products that you're going to grow, like your wheat, your barley. If you have a PC, you can order these in the order that you want them at. So you can see the highest price for wheat, which is this symbol here, and I'll show you how to figure out what the symbols are here in a second. There's the restaurant is selling for $651 per liter, or per 100 liters. So you can, whatever you're trying to sell, you can put it in the right order and see who's got the highest price. A nice little thing, if you click on it, there's be a little option here. Hit tag place, and then if we get out of this, you can kind of see it. You see that green line way in the air? That's the place we just tagged. So now you can try to drive to that place, and then if you'll see on the map, you'll see the blinking yellow circle with the symbol for a sell point. It's blinking, so you know how to drive to that. So we get back in, we'll untag this place because we don't need it. And there's all your products that you can grow or produce. So depending on what you're wanting to sell, you'll find the most current price. And those prices do change. Like for wheat, this price is going up. That's what the little green up arrow means. For barley, this one's going down. That's what the red symbol, red arrow down indicates. And this is your vehicle overview. This is a list of all the vehicles you currently own, how long you've owned them for, how many hours are on each of them, what the maintenance level is. Right now, because we just started, everything's 100%, and then what they're currently worth. We go over one more. Here's our financials, because we haven't done anything yet. We haven't made any money. We haven't sold or spent any money. So we have $100,000 and no loan. You can borrow as well, depending on how much property you own is how much you're able to borrow. So if you need to borrow some money, you can do that. At midnight, you will be charged interest on that loan. So, use that wisely. But you do have that capability. The next one over is the animals. We don't have any pens yet, so it's not really going to show us anything. In this screen, you can hire yourself out to help other people. There's 5 contracts right now. We got a transporting, a harvesting, a fertilizing, another harvesting, and another harvesting. So you can participate in these contracts. That's how much money you're going to earn. It's on field 18. They want corn harvested. If you don't have the vehicles to harvest the corn, you can borrow them, but they're going to charge you, in this case, $211 to borrow that. So that's up to you if you want to do that. There's a bigger one on field 11, and they're going to be harvesting wheat. So if you have the equipment to harvest wheat, then you can do that and take the whole $15,000. And we'll show you later on how this all works, because there's a little trick to harvesting. That's what the farmer is going to pay you to harvest his field, but there's another way to make some money on that too, and another video I'll show you how that all works when we get into doing contracting, but just so you're aware of it. Here's all your stats, how much you've worked, hours you've worked, how many plow time, sowing time, just fun little stats for you to look at. And there's some basic game settings. Time scale, what I was talking about earlier, right now is set to 5. You can knock that down to real time. So 1 minute in gameplay is 1 minute in real time, obviously. Or you can go up to 15 times, 30, 60, 120, and then back around. Usually I just keep it on 5. The difficulty level, you start out in normal. You can go into easy mode, or you can go up to hard mode. And basically what that means is in normal mode, everything's kind of balanced. In easy mode, you'll make more money on your crops. It won't cost you as much for seed, and so on. And with hard mode, it's just the opposite. You can make less money on your crops. You'll spend more money on like seed and fertilizer. Things get more expensive, but and you don't get paid as much. So it's a little more like a difficulty mode. I normally, again, play on normal. Traffic, you can have it on or off. Dirt, what I normally do is I put it on slow. In this one, sometimes I see a difference, sometimes I don't. Basically on dirt, it's how often you're going to end up maintaining your vehicles. So I usually keep that on slow. On some maps, it works really good. It'd be a long time before you have to do any maintenance on your vehicle. On other maps, it doesn't really seem to work. The next option there is automatic engine start, and that is when you jump into a tractor, does the engine automatically start for you, or do you have to start it? And that's just your preference based on, what kind of game you're playing. Stop and go braking, that means if you come to a stop by hitting reverse, does it automatically go back into reverse, or does it stop? And that, again, is just a preference. Fuel usage, obviously, that's kind of self-explanatory, how much fuel you're going to use for your tractors. By default, it's set to low. The next little 4 or 5 options is helper, refill, fuel, seed, fertilizer, slurry, and manure. If you hire a worker, and I'll explain all that later on, but if you hire a worker and he runs out of material, he has the ability to automatically buy more. What it really turns out to be is if you have those turned on, then no matter what level, as long as you have some product in whatever, like a seeder or a fertilizer spreader, if you have some product in there, he's not going to use what's in there. He's just going to buy it as he goes along. So that's up to you. Plant growth, they always start out fast. I always go to slow. And basically what that means, how long does it take for the time that you seed till the time that plant's ready to harvest? And again, that's your preference. Plant withering is off by default, but you can turn that on, which means that if you don't harvest that crop in a timely manner, it will wither, and then you lose all that crop and you got to start over. So that's basically, depending on how you want to play. Crop destruction means that if you take a tractor onto a field that is already above stage 2, and I'll explain all the stages as we get into the crop stuff, but anything above stage 2, if you take a tractor on it that does not have skinny tires, it will destroy that crop, just like it would in the real world. So depending on how you're playing, you can either leave crop destruction on or off. Periodic plowing is, do you need, basically every third time that you harvest a field with periodic plowing turned on, you'll be required to replow that field. I usually play with that one on. Lime required, again, that's one of those, every so often you need to lime your field, which brings the pH level of that field up, which gives you a better yield on the back end. So with that on, every so often you're going to have to reapply lime. And then weeds on, if you want to play it like that, that means every so often weeds will start sprouting in your fields and you'll have to weed your fields. Otherwise, your yield of your crop will go down. And then autosave is how often you want it to automatically save. These are basically just the game. Not so much the play, but how you want your game to work. For those in the US, the only things I really ever mess with is change it to dollars, change your measures to miles, and your area unit to acres. Rest of it is just, volume levels, that kind of stuff. If you want the radio turned on or off, um, so you can play with those as needed. And then these are your keyboard controls and your game control. Depending on, if you're playing on a console, you won't see the keyboard. You'll see your gamepad controls. You just click on it and you can see what each game controls. Like me, because I'm on a PC, I get both. So I can either do it by the keyboard or I can do it by my gamepad. And then this is your little help menu. A bunch of good information. If you get time, you should go through that. Gives you some basic stuff, kind of like what we're going to go through with this series of, how to do this, how to do that. This gives you some good information. And then, of course, you can save your game and quit. And so we're going to go back out of that. Next thing that I want to show you is your inventory. So if we hit the menu button, and it brings up the shop. On a controller, if you hit the Y, then that shows you all the items that you own. And these are all the tractors that we own. Harvester, a little trailer, there's our header, and we'll kind of go through all that as we get going. A little plow, here's a little seeder, a weight for those tractors. Here's a grain silo, some sheds, more sheds, and then here's our farmhouse. So those are all the things. I'm not going to get into on this episode how to buy new tractors or anything like that. That'll be coming up. This particular episode, we're just going to kind of walk through on how to get started, kind of give you a brief overview on how to get around or how to get through the menu system. We're just kind of walking around now to check everything out. These are the fields you own. This is the equipment that you own that's kind of all spread out. And we'll go through the basics on how to operate that stuff. There's your farmhouse. There is one thing that I will show you real quick. If you come up to the farmhouse, and you'll see there's the F1 menu, and now you can sleep. So for my controller, if I push down on the left analog stick, in this case it says I'm not tired because we haven't really done anything yet, but this is how you sleep. And what basically that means is usually anytime after 7 p.m., if you don't like working in the dark, then you can sleep through the night. So after 7 p.m., you can come up here, you can hit sleep, you can tell it how long you want to sleep in hours, and then hit OK, and it will run you through the night. So then you'll start again the next morning. So that's the basics of this. I don't want to make these very long, so I want this to be a quick, here we go. Here's, how to get started. I know we really haven't shown you anything, but I wanted to show you how to start a game, how to, kind of get around the menu system, how to, see what vehicles you've got. And really, that's all I wanted to do. In the next episode, we'll start showing you how to take care of your fields, how to plow a field and then cultivate it, and then put lime down, fertilize it. We'll get into the basic steps of dealing with a field. So at this, I'm going to go ahead and say good day, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.